interrupted. I don't know what's going on. It's a novelty, apparently. It's a new thing in our universe. So the streams are apparently now interrupted. So it happened last time, now it happened again. I don't know why, but they will be chopped. So let's see if people join now. Kiva, hello. Thank you for joining again. The stream interrupted. I don't know what's up. Last time it interrupted, now it interrupted. I don't know. Let's see if people pull up, and we'll continue. And then we'll probably be wrapping up as well soon. It's been intense today. Too much love, Brian. Yes, exactly. Ruben, hello. Thank you for joining. I'm saying that the stream started interrupting like 2 hour mark. And I have no idea why. Second time happened. Have you thought about the memberships model for your channel? Dwayne is asking. Why are you asking? Are you interested to become a member? To have more compact group of people? Because I just announced, I put on my website, there's going to be the workshop on Thursday, this Thursday, in which we're going to do practice, because I want to do practices with you guys, but with a general live stream, it's not possible. I think that if you found a partner that matches you intellectually and start a family, many of your views on love would change over time. Dude, you've been married for 10 years. It's my views on love are the product of it. Of what you just described, of the situation that you've described. So, about the membership. So the free workshop is going to be on Thursday. It's on my website, and the tab free workshops will be in Zoom. There will be no, there will be just strictly to the topic we're going to be doing the practice. In a very intimate circle. So whoever wants to register, there's still a couple of seats left. But yeah, check it out. What time? The time will be Thursday, 5 p.m. It will be instead of the stream. I just looked at which days. Thursdays usually performance of streams is pretty low. And so I decided to locate it to a workshop. I'll see also what attendance we'll have, because that's not many people. And we'll conduct it and see how this format works. Why ex-husband? You're making such funny assumptions. I don't know. It's very cute how people perceive things. It feels like, we live in different worlds, kind of. There was a lot of chat left to read still. Was curious to hear a response in the previous stream. Yeah, there was so much. I feel like I would not be able to process that. Not familiar with Zoom. Is it like Google Classroom? Something like that. It's it is yeah, kind of like that. Goinya. Goinya. Is it a feminative for goyim? Or what? Like, what is that word? Women are from Venus and men from Mars. No, Brian K. It's a huge fallacy. It's such a huge misconception about these Venuses and Marses. Humans are humans. There's a false assumption because of some cultural constructs about men and women, but it is far from reality that women and men are drastically different in principle. There will be much more difference between a given woman and a given woman than between a given woman and a given man, and vice versa. Given that they're coming from relatable backgrounds and they have similar or equivalent level of development. So it is a thing that creates so much confusion in people, as if women and men have terribly different needs. Both need affection, both want to be seen and taken care of, both want to be sexually pleased, both want to live in halcyon, both want to have fun in life. Both, men and women. And putting this division, seeding confusion, seeding this division between men and women, positive or negative, is equally dysfunctional, I think. I think it's time to start working on similarities and actually embodying the traits, just overall common human traits. And then acting from within your biological reason, biological needs. I may be far more pushy, far more active than some given man who has like more phlegmatic temperament, for example. But there could be men who will be much more active than a given woman. And then what society tells us is that I'm masculine, that man is feminine, that man is masculine, this woman is feminine. It's so arbitrary. It's so arbitrary. It's literally just self-brainwashing at that point. Doesn't serve any purpose other than creating some, again, like we show this identity to hold on to not embrace your full potential, to not face your potential, to not face the vastness of the world. Why? What are you scared of? Who said that something should be this or that? The slogan about Venus and Mars, no, we're from Earth. We evolved together. The fact that for the past couple of thousands of years there was this division not just on women and men also, but into classes. With leisure class, with slave class, ruling class. That had a much more major impact on differences between people than gender roles. Because in slave class there's no difference whether you're a man or woman. You are a unit of workforce. Out in the ruling class, it's almost indifferent whether you're a man or a woman. Other than there will be some, demographic interest, reproduction interest. There's some conventions there. In the leisurely class, there are some customs, yes. What is considered appropriate, what's considered inappropriate. How to flirt, how to engage in infidelity gracefully, such that it's accepted by high society. That's all artificial. Are there Freemasonry symbols in Russia? Yes, and Freemasons were a very popular club, I guess, for the Age of Enlightenment. There was huge exchange between Europe and Russia. People were engaging in those fraternities and those thinker clubs, and they were going overseas, importing their knowledge. They had huge cultural exchange. St. Petersburg, for example, was built in that era, and they do have a lot of symbology, of course. People find a lot of fascination in that. How to engage in infidelity successfully? Their work. I mean, the marital customs, they were for formalities. People acknowledge that in leisure class. They were acknowledging that there must be more fun. So they had balls. They had different courting customs as well. I agree that mankind is a collective whole, but your experiences through life are unique, telling in relation to your sex. Hardly. Nasty earlier misunderstood me about symbiosis between animals. I wasn't denying a pet can't love their human back because I've experienced it. Women and men are not planets. Yeah. Yeah, like Microsoft Teams. Yeah, Zoom is like Microsoft Teams. Religious propaganda. Then what do Russians think about King Solomon? They don't think about King Solomon. Which Russians too? I mean, most Russians don't think about King Solomon. There are Russians who, for example, are into Kabbalah. There's very popular Kabbalah, not very popular, it's still underground, but Kabbalah movement became socially present. So there is some popularity of King Solomon in those circles, definitely, but it's not widespread. Women should be seen, not heard. But who said that? Who should? For whom it should be? Why is this generalization? It's a very bizarre statement. Women. Which women? By whom? Last question for the night. Is Russia in possession of Ayatollah-san? I'm not sure about this folklore. If you want to specify. I don't know who Ayatollah-san is. I have no idea. I don't know how we went down to this rabbit hole of some political talk. I don't know. Kiva, question, yes. The great one, как ты? Yeah? Хорошо, спасибо. Как ты? Can you cultivate mutual love? And if so, how would you go about it? Cultivate mutual love. Cultivate mutual love. What's our starting point? What's the scenario? I want more precision. Do you want to cultivate mutual love from already having an object and having some problem, or do you want to cultivate mutual love from the point where you haven't met anyone yet and you're expecting to meet someone? I'm guessing this would need a few set of notes. I'm not sure now what we're talking about. I'm not sure either. Okay, so Chad, I haven't met anyone yet, but you want to cultivate mutual love. Okay, so that's an interesting one. How do you cultivate it? The first, what comes to my mind is to become love forward in general. When you're love forward, when it's not something that something that's there and then, but love is here and now. I can access it, right? So I can access the sense of love. I can not love is normal for me. One thing that's always been bizarre to me is how relationships are something there and then, as opposed to just having them right now. You either live through this concept or you don't. Like, how do I cultivate, how do I build happiness? First of all, you need to allow it yourself. You need to connect with it, because happiness is just a state. It's a state that you can enter or exit, like the door from the Garden of Eden. You can leave it, you can close the door, you can go back and close the door, you can go back and keep the door open and be able to move back and forth between the Garden of Eden state and whatever state you want. So with love in general, it is first you need to accept the idea of love. Without it, if you are exclusively capable of feeling it, going from, for example, from full solitude into jumping into big super love may not be a realistic plan. Having an expectation of love is also putting love there and then. That's why we need to think about how to bring love to here and now, as opposed to it being there and then, some mythical thing. So that's something that we need to do primarily. Mutuality comes naturally. But where is love? Like, if you focus on the concept of love, is it something unattainable? Something there and then? Or is it something that you can induce right now? Does it in general exist in your life? I was moving the camera with my feet. It's on the tripod. For example, joy, happiness. Joy, happiness. I want to experience joy and happiness going to work. Is joy and happiness something that you are capable of experiencing in general right now? Or is joy and happiness something that's there and then, that is unattainable, and you want to specifically find it without being in touch with it in a specific scenario that's induced? Co-host has done his job already. Yeah, he's sleeping now. Her schedule has been shifting around a little bit. Started waking up a little bit earlier, so I guess that determines his hours. And then mutuality, you want someone to give you the treasure, which you can harvest yourself first. You should find it yourself. And then you will be having love, not being seeking love from some source. Because love is happening in you, inside of you. That's your chemical reaction. So when you talk about love, it's chemical reaction happening. This is happening. Some surplus of chemistry sits on some receptor. And when you're talking about mutual love, you're expecting that someone will trigger this receptor to be pacified with your own chemistry. You have it inside of you. There's no need, particular need to get acquainted with concept of love through some specific human possessing that love. Because them possessing that love is not the guarantee that you will experience this chemistry sitting on your receptors. I haven't been happy in a long time. I'm not sad. I just feel like I'm incapable of being happy even when something good happens to me. Sticks, you can consider human renaissance on my website. We can work on that. It's a systemic work. Okay, yeah, the way of stuff. When you're no longer enchanted by the world, there's only joy and love, whether you're in good times or bad. Why only joy? I mean, there are many sources of joy you can have. You don't need to be enchanted to feel joy. There's a world is life. Life is very variable. Life is very diverse. It's always changing. And if you are embracing the change, if you're capable of development, there always will be some source of amusement, some development that will bring you creative joy, inexhaustible joy, because you can master something your entire life without ever exhausting the inspiration, and your limit will always be pushing. Gotta swap batteries? Okay, sure, we'll wait for you. This is Russian propaganda. No way anybody here is that good. Pacifica. Conditioner. Thank you. Old phone of same model charges, but this one doesn't. Sure. Pacific isn't linked on this stream. Let's see if I can link it in the middle. No, I can't. Maybe, oh, can I? Pin to live stream. Tag products. Pacific. Done. now, now there is conditioner. What are your views on semen retention? Negative. But I'm curious why you would be interested in that, because everyone will have um, different standpoint on that. Yeah, the previous stream, ticket booth, is where we discussed that. What happens if you order a pizza? Okay, some pizza stuff. Pacifica noted. Yeah, Pacifica ananas is nothing. How much is your hourly rate? My consultations cost currently, as listed on my website, The Form of Life. My sessions are an hour and a half long because I find it to be more productive, to be a little bit longer than an hour when we talk about when we are in some therapeutic process. So my sessions are an hour and a half long. Semen retention gives you superpowers. It's my superheroes. My superheroes. It's which superpowers does it give to you? What do you need those superpowers? Well, how do you use your superpowers? Let's think about how do you use those superpowers. You've got a superpower. What do you do with this superpower? Where does it go? Instead of you producing this much of fluid, where does this superpower go? Are you married? Yes. Woodworking? Oh, we have another person, another new member of our community is into woodworking. Very nice. Make sure to like the live stream if you haven't. Thank you, Kiva. Yes. Smarter, stronger, faster, more endurance. What do you do with all of these superpowers now? And also, what is the have you calculated how many calories of energy you save? Also, what amount of minerals, what percent of daily intake of minerals you're saving through that? I'm just curious. I mean, just scientifically, do you compute all of that? You focus on achieving your goals and lock in. Okay, so that's we discussed in the previous part of the stream that is saved in my channel now. Is that when you have a lot to manage, a lot of things to manage, sometimes taking extra control over some area of life can give you that desired sense of security. I'm holding on to something. I associate myself with some concept. I associate myself with some phenomenon. Now I am someone. I know I have a support. It can be religious belief. It can be some food abstinence, specific, like not even for nutritional reasons, but some abstinence, like fasting, can give people the same exact things, and they feel like everything in their life suddenly starts being sorted out because huge part of anxiety now is being contained in that control. And I highly recommend you watch the previous part from today. You talk about it, it's like such a you have this wording bust. It sounds almost derogatory, but there's nothing derogatory about it. Also, when you retain, do you engage in activities, sexual activities, or are you being celibate? Fasting is incredibly good for your health, but it's not a superpower. arguably fasting is incredibly good. I mean, fasting can be, I mean, sometimes body requests fasting when it shuts down appetite. Fasting against your appetite is, or healthy appetite. I'm not talking about binging people, for example. When you are in intuitive, healthy nutrition, when you are having appetite but you're suppressing your desire to eat, then it may not be necessarily healthy. It might be just stressful for the body as opposed to being healing. Retain gain. You see, exactly. You see what you have, what you gain. You have a community. Community. You retain, but you gain community. You gain identity. Control. And also placebo. So these things are totally unrelated to anything physical or chemical happening in your body. But these are the benefits of that practice. You literally check so many boxes that lower anxiety. Of course, your focus is super high. We can achieve it without all of these procedures. Just got back. Chad, we were reiterating on retention. Thank you, Kiva. Nope, fasting is always good for your health. Sunny side, I will try proving the statement. You just stated that in 100% of cases, fasting is good for your health. Prove it. That there is not a single case proving that 100% of cases good means you need to prove that there is not a single case in which it can have negative effects. So good luck with that. It's mathematically impossible. Ticket booth. Simulation makes everything easy. Have you given a thought about why without, like, it seems like a magic pill because biochemically there is nothing that justifies the use of it. It's the most encouraged process by nature because associated with major pleasure. So I am curious. Have you given it a thought how it works exactly when you don't have this pillar to hold on to, when you're not doing it? What about you is drastically different? What feels drastically different than when you hold on to it, on this identity, on this pillar? Because it feels like it is, I have a leverage right now. I'm anxious, not anxious. I'm not in control, I'm in control. And that's a very childish, perhaps, perception of it. It's rooted in childhood development, as we said in the previous stream, where you first learn to, I can pee or I cannot pee. I can poop or I cannot poop. When my mind starts building this awareness with the body together, and that's when the ego forms. When I'm like, oh, I learned the boundaries of my body and how I can use it. I learned the boundaries of my behavior and how I can navigate it. I'm in control. I'm in control. I'm not in control. I'm in control. So that's the swapping function. So this little retention thing, retention even, it's like, it sounds like retention. I'm retaining something and I am in control. And when I'm in control, I'm like, la la la, I can do it. Look at this. I can. I'm capable. When I'm not in control, I can't. I cannot think clearly. I cannot see my goals anymore clearly. I can't function ideal like I want. I cannot solve my problems. give me the support. Whew, I'm retaining. I'm back to control. Whew. So what is that about? Power, 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 power. Why do you want that power? Why do you feel powerless without it and you feel empowered with it? Excuse me, I can collect my saliva in my mouth. I can collect my saliva. I can make an agreement with my. It's like OCD. It's like I'm controlling the tiles that I will walk on. It's exactly OCD. I can, for example, make a ritual that if I don't swallow my saliva for 5 minutes, I can make a wish. It's a ritualistic behavior, guys. It is a ritualistic behavior that's associated with all of these things, and that's whose goal is to not feel anxiety. So power, empowerment. Why am I small when I live normally, when there's nothing unique about my behavior? And why I feel like, woo, Superman, big, grandiose, capable, when I am repressing one of the bodily functions? Why is there such delta? Nature function, yeah. Angelus Satani. I love you, Anastasia. Thank you. You aren't a psychologist. I'm Tantra coach, Tantra therapist. Indeed, I'm not psychologist. How old what? So I'm still asking, like without this control in life, woo, anything happens. Like, and I cannot. Then I grip and everything works. Well, then I don't value your opinion. You can disappear from the chat. Just turn it off. Bright blessings to you. Thank you so much. What control? Your mind? No. We're talking about the practice of semen retention. She has a lot of knowledge. Yes, thank you so much, Jeff. Is that not a good thing? The control, that pillar, it's not a good thing in the sense that it might leave all of that chaotic perception of things. In a sense, you see, it's never good to be holding on to something one. It's never good to be locked in to some one practice. It's like, again, people with OCD, they experience that. They need ritualistic behavior because life is very unpredictable. They cannot manage it really well without those ritualistic behaviors, without those little things that they incorporate in their life. Especially your hair. Thank you so much. I have a hair conditioner tagged there. So, and then person discovers something one. It can be a religious movement. It can be a sect. It can be a diet. It can be some detox practice. EDs have the same exact nature. That sometimes, not in all cases. Some relationships with food, hyper-controlling food, may come from that uncertainty that's so debilitating. I cannot collect my mind. I cannot focus I cannot choose where I focus on. My mind is everywhere and nowhere, and I don't know what to do, and just jumping all over the place. Who am I? Where am I? What to do? I cannot center myself on one single activity because nervous system is an absolute havoc. I don't have resource to properly function. And every spontaneous change in my environment causes me to just freak out and further lose ability to focus. So that's a very fatigued nervous system that is incapable of managing the spontaneous environment and also the managing even your own flows, your own thoughts, your own ideas, whatever. And then you take something, you lock into something. Now I will be counting calories. I have neurosis, and you put it into counting calories. So you enter this circular thing in which you count calories, you feel good, you feel reward, you calm down a little bit, and then you can function a little bit. You counted calories, you're like, phew. Your neurosis is now in calories. You create a box, effectively create a box in which you can put your neurosis and anxiety. They all go there, and in that box, they're just sitting safely. You contain them. But you could do it through expansive manner. You can regulate your nervous system through complex measures such that you are stable, such that you have many pillars. Because this thing actually hyper-focusing on your erection, ejaculation performance, this hyper-focus can play a very bad joke on you afterwards. Because you literally put neurosis in the domain of sexuality. That can lead to creating cycles inside of your sexual life. That's where the danger lies there. And that's why it's much more functional, I think, to seek solutions in all areas of life and train your adaptability. You train your adaptability through learning how to relax. So instead of adding tension even more, putting this tension in your sexuality, we learn how to relax. The background level of agitation drops. I am relaxed. Now I can handle more. I can interact with spontaneity of the world. I develop different pillars, different tools for self-regulation, and I don't need to find boxes like this where there's like heightened tension, because that's a point of vulnerability. And what's uncomfortable to me about it is that you put this point of vulnerability and maximum tension into the sphere of sexuality, very sensitive area that is tied to your body. And that's where I feel conflict with it. It's not that I'm like laughing at it or anything. I'm literally concerned about the mechanics of it. Because beneath it may be just a common stress. And again, not developed adaptability or inability to adapt because of lack of resource, emotional resource. And if we imagine a person, again, who will be, for example, like right now, to make a wish, I need to hold my saliva without swallowing for 5 minutes. I can do that. Because I'm, for example, anxious, I want to make a wish. I cannot take responsibility for a lot of things right now. So I want to share this responsibility for some grand thing, and I will make this agreement with this grand thing, aka destiny or whatever, that I will make this payment of this little ritual, 5 minutes of retaining my saliva in the mouth, and then I will deserve to make a wish. So that's how it works in some other realms. Or there will be people who, for example, if they don't eat a slice of lemon after lunch. You know, the slice of lemon will do approximately nothing with you. But if you don't eat a slice of lemon, they think that they will have some, I don't know, whatever. They'll have a zit on their cheek tomorrow. So they know that once they didn't eat the slice of lemon and they had a zit. The next day they ate a slice of lemon and they didn't have a zit. So they started just for good measure eating the slice of lemon because their body image for them is very important. They cannot afford having a zit. So it's their service, like daily ritual. So just do it. But biochemically it does nothing. It's a ritual. The fact that your lower teeth shows too much makes you very suspect. You keep suspecting, sit and suspect. Our society rewards high performance. SR give you the ability to sustain high performance for long periods of time. But then again, you are putting the weight on your sexuality. I'm offering you, I want you to focus on what I'm saying right now. I want you to, for a moment, let my thoughts be, okay? I don't want to create some like defensive response or something. Imagine the world in which you just are capable of inhaling experiences, releasing experiences, letting go of experiences. You can even close your eyes and just feel how these words sound to you. You exhale, inhale, you release, you relax, you easily make decisions, you easily take an action, you easily express and experience emotions, you easily speak your truth, you easily talk about your feelings, you easily communicate your wishes. It's easy for you to say what you want. It's easy for you to laugh, to just present yourself, just be. It's easy. And that comes in and out, in and out. You're free to dream. You're free to be playful. You're free to breathe. You're breathing. You feel the pulse of life. How does that sound to you? Маленькому пришел. Пупусик. Ай, куда ты полез? Nothing feels like it truly matters aside from keeping my job and keeping my partner. I feel like the little social development that I had is dying every day. I want to socialize and it's not good. In and out, yes. Please don't ignore me, mama. Interesting play going on. Life is war and competition. You can only relax when you have power in someone else's domain of power. Now that's your concept. That's a belief system. You can change it like this. What's the chart behind you? We were just talking. I illustrate my points with writings. It's probably hard to explain what I meant by each of these right now. Easily. Breathing in and out, David says. Almost there. So, when we talk about this ticket booth, are you still here? Do you know what default mode network or theory of mind is? Yes, I think default mode network is familiar to me, yes. What did you try? What I said? Ticket booth. I'm curious if you tried it. We're practice driven here, so it's very good if we practice as we go and we try to actually feel the things, experience things. What did you say? I don't know if it will be very awkward if I repeat at this point. You tried, okay. So how did that feel to just be in this release? Didn't work. How did it not work? What did not work? I offered you to carry out a lot of different experiments. Which particular one did not work? Kiva? Thank you, Ben. David Willis, you can ask me directly. I'm 31 years old. Marcel, thank you. No, retain. I told you to try feeling many different things. If you imagine yourself living in a way that you can breathe in and out, you can feel this freedom. Air is coming in, you're breathing it through fully. There's no blockage in anywhere on the way of your breathing. Your breath pushes everything freely down to your pelvic floor. All column is capable of breathing. Then you're able to express your emotions easily. You're capable of relaxing. You're capable of giving in. You're capable of laughing. You're capable of speaking your truth. You're capable of just experiencing, just like being pleasureful. Your body is at ease. There's no tension anywhere. If we imagine that. And then we imagine this. What feels more wholesome? What feels like it's more sustainable? What feels like it's more natural, so to speak? Thank you, Brian. Brian Vasquez. Hypnotists only hypnotize people who are susceptible to it. Who's what's hypnosis? Where's hypnosis? You're very insightful. Thank you so much, David. How do I get my kid's mother to stop drinking so much and coming home at 2 a.m. most nights? We're 31. Kashmir hug. That's a codependent request because you are living in a trinity, the triplet thing, where you have yourself, your partner, and a problem. Because that somehow plays a role. You're in short-circuited relationship, and that's a very comprehensive problem that requires multiple specialists likely. And you should understand that it's not your duty to make the wife of your wife or mother of your kids to drink any less. She's with an addiction. Imagine she's possessed, and your attempt to save her will only be propagating this issue, because that's the language of love. You saving her may be the language of love in your couple. So the more she drinks, the more she will feel like you are loving her, because this act of rescue is how she feels like relationship is ongoing. The best thing that you can do is to communicate to her and direct her to the idea of rehab, narcologist, anonymous alcoholics, any of those, where she can go through 12 steps, 12-step program, perhaps assisted with some detox program, where alcohol will be, if she drinks, if she is daily drinker, then it's likely that she will need some withdrawal management, some IVs perhaps under medical supervision. It's not your job. It's just what can be done with you, since you come with this request. You need to think for yourself and understand that it's not your job. It's not in your power to change that. It requires a specialist, and it requires you to withdraw yourself from that bond. Codependent person who is with a person with an addiction contributes very much into sustaining that addiction. So your efforts should focus on talking herself, on first of all detaching herself from the idea of needing to save her. In second act, when you are with this more or less grounded attitude, you can start communicating to her that rehab, AA groups, narcology, whatever it is, you cannot stop it. That's the problem, that you want to stop it. You want to possess this achievement of hers. You want to possess the achievement that you broke the super strong bond that exists in her life with alcohol. And while it appears very honorable, and it will require you an impossible power, and will be not successful. Your mere attempt of doing this enables her drinking. Your body image shows me that you're very contracted instead of expansive, so I can't listen to you. Sure, I rap. Don't. I feel like I'm not a real person sometimes. I barely interact with anyone in real life, but I go to work, have my own apartment, pay all my own bills. You're spot on. Thank you. Thank you, that makes a lot of sense. Kashmir hug, you're welcome. And vicious cycle, yes. If you observe this system already, we discussed in one of my previous streams, like recent streams, we discussed the cycles. And the first step in exiting the cyclical system, whose purpose is only to drain your energy, to enable, to keep sustaining the system. The first step in stepping out of that, destroying the system, or making the system non-existent for you, is to acknowledge the cyclical nature of it, that it exists. So perhaps for your own sake, sit down and revisit all of the cases in which this thing repeated. It repeated, 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 repeated. And remember how much energy you invested into keeping it maintained at some functional level. Consider this energy to be gone in favor of this ill system. When saving doesn't have an objective in the end, when saving is not strategized to reach the goal, when members of the saving act are not on the same page about the goal of their interaction, the saving is always going to be just a suction of your energy to keep the problem propagating. So sit down, acknowledge that this is a problem, it's a cyclical problem, that you are there, needed only as the donor of energy to keep this wheel spinning. That destination, as in getting rid of addiction, has never been a goal for members of the system. And then you need to withdraw yourself, and from the outside you start looking for help, or insinuating that the help might be needed. But you yourself primarily should withdraw yourself from this role, because you're feeding this cycle, you're feeding this vicious thing. David, thank you so much. So far, no questions. I did a quick review. Good. Rof, don't read the comments. Don't tell me what to do. I used to have a tribe of friends, and they're friends when I was younger, but that's seemingly impossible to have in your 30s. Good, all understood. Thank you, Kiva. You're making me want to be a family dad. I feel like you're reading my mind. It's a lot of work, my friend. Trust me. Semen retention equals the system can take your energy. Take it both. If you want, if it's not a problem for you, and I want to be clear of our intentions here, of our communication. You brought up an interesting case, and I was really inspired to discuss different possible reasons for the existence of this phenomenon for the audience, for the rest of the audience. But I don't want to necessarily go deeper on this topic unless we're solving a particular problem. But from what I'm seeing, you are not having a problem. If there is some question or concern that you have with that, feel free to bring it up. I expressed my view on that there are some vulnerability points in this approach. And I don't think that we can come to some common ground without having a statement or some task statement. So that in itself is all the proof you need that it's possible. You know what it feels like, and that's what's needed to achieve it. So something in your life isn't aligned the way that it has. Right, hang in there, my friend. If this one won't take you up on your offer, you definitely will find someone that will. This lady woke up my heart. Still here, David Martin. Nice, thank you. Two plus two equals... Common ground can be reached without solution, or at least progress. It's even without the existing problem. Again, today I did this dirty thing. I utilized people's examples as an illustration of possible vulnerabilities, likely vulnerabilities, likely caveats, likely reasons. So it was an interesting experiment for me to voice those considerations and how would approach a work with the person who will, for example, come to me with the consequences of this practice, which can be, I'm not going to voice them to scare guys, but there are some consequences that are possible with that. And to sort out that problem will be already an interesting thing that I illustrated how it would work with that. I would work with benefits of that, what the cover-ups are. I didn't talk through the therapy because, again, there was no task. If someone brought me erectile dysfunction or inability to ejaculate or inability to engage in normal sexual activities anymore, and they brought me this fact that they also are practicing semen retention, then it would be already something that we could work with. How old are you, by the way? You look like you could be either 23 or 45. Don't take it in the wrong way. 23 plus 45 will be 68 divided by 234. So 31 I am. I'm 31. I understand what you're saying. I have pretty mature features. And the face can be depending on my mood, depending on the hairstyle, depending on how I project myself and what I'm talking about, can definitely be going from poofy, childish, to very mature. Also, of course, depends on sleep quality and stuff, so yeah, understand that. Are you a therapist, life coach? The advice you give is very great. Thank you, you're a big help so far. Kashmir Hug, I am Tantra coach, Tantra therapist. Difference between Tantra and psychotherapy, for example, is that psychotherapy is more, let's say, building a support system, not always particularly addressing working with the goals. And Tantra coaching and Tantra therapy, they have goal setting usually in the forefront. So that's what differentiates it. We have a goal in mind. And we're going towards the goal through the tools. There's a lot of practices. It's not purely conversational therapy. We are identifying the root cause of certain problems through conversational means. And then we are doing practices to remove certain dysfunctions and replace them with functions. David, I just said that I'm 31. You missed it. This question, for some reason, haunts minds of people. Yes, I am in my 30s. Like I said, my life sucked and it was depressing before. Semen retention has transformed who I am. I don't know if that's a problem. I don't know if that's a problem. You tell me if that's a problem. If, for example, I mean, if you were to go, I don't know, what would be the scenario? You know that I am a Tantra coach, Tantra therapist. Right now, you have a session with me virtually. It's a public session, well, pretty much anonymous public session, I guess. And you can work with me. Is there any problem that you would bring? If there is a problem, you would know the problem. If there is some pain or if there is some limitation that you're feeling, if there is something frustrating, you know it. It might not be in the area that we discussed, but it may be in some other area, and then we can start unfolding from that point when we identify where the pain is located. Hello from Idaho. Hello. That was funny, Justin said. Limited by human reason? I don't remember what we're talking about. Can you be my wife and teach me Russian before the big push? No, I can't. I can't. King David the First. What is the conversation pertaining to? I missed first half of the conversation. What's the topic? Right now we are kind of scattered a little bit. We talked about the case of a person whose wife has alcohol addiction and what to do, and then also we have this recurring dialogue happening revolving around semen retention, if you're familiar with that. You're only 31. Yes, I'm only 31. You look like Mila Kunis? Seriously? I look like Mila Kunis? I don't think so. Did you go to Jeffrey Island? No, I didn't. You don't need to go to Jeffrey Island. His followers are all over the world. Does that work with psychedelics? No, actually I don't work with psychedelics. I'm not proponent of those substances. So, you are 24. Sure. Lenny, I'm in love with this woman. Thank you so much. Спасибо большое, madam. I'm ending notes here. Much appreciated. Nice, Kiva. Everyone like the stream? Yes. Do you have kids? No, I don't have kids. I raised my brother when I was 12. And I don't know when I will make it a very willing thing for myself to have kids, because kids come with so much beyond just cute things. It's primarily the primary contraception is the fact that kids need to go to the system and they need to go through schooling. And I myself was in school for 20 years. So, and I don't know, education system is absolutely horrendous, and you're a good liar, you know, haha. No, I'm not a liar, actually. I can't lie. I cannot do that. It's not my strength. Whenever, even like growing up, I tried trying to conceal something or lie about something, I felt so heavy in bed that I decided that it's just not my thing, you know? It's very difficult to live lying. So I'm definitely not a good liar. It's just something that I don't possess, and I admire sometimes people who are capable of flying. Watching them is really fascinating because they do it with such an ease, and they get a very positive feedback from the environment when they embody that behavior. So I think it's a superpower, but I'm devoid of that, and that's my superpower. Do you do personal sessions? Yes, Ticket Booth, I surely do. On my website, reformoflife.com. Human Renaissance is what you would probably want. Gotta get ready for bed, gotta get up early, but I like to tune in. Really great, Chad. Nice to see you. Always. By the way, did you try that practice that we discussed? I'm just curious. Good night, Nastya. Good night. I like how you brush off the haters. Or they're not haters. I mean, they're how are they haters? What are they hating? They're just saying stuff. I don't know. It's human self-expression after all. Haha, haha, see another lie, great lie. I'm kidding, lol. You're sweetie pie, sweet pee poo 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 poo. Sure, Joshua. What I was saying is that the human reason is limited. We're limited by human reasoning. There's a reason behind everything we do. No. Reason is cognitive by definition. And there are things that are done impulsively without any reason. I'm liking your content. Thank you, David. Are you subscribed? That makes sense. It's a system of intelligent design. I think it's wise to have reservations about introducing kids into that. Do you diagnose people? I feel like I have undiagnosed autism. No, I don't diagnose people, but I work with issues. But sometimes, actually, in the course of work, sometimes I can direct a person to a psychotherapist or psychiatrist, for example, because there was a case in which the issue was so severe and the person was not willing to work on their nutrition that I just voiced it that the progress is going to be quite slow if we keep doing. So it's just unethical to keep a person working, like living with a problem, for example, that has natural restraints for solving, if you know what I'm saying. So it is more ethical just send them to a psychiatrist, perhaps, because the scope of practices, the scope of work that I can offer will not beat some very deep-rooted biochemistry. It will not beat condition. But this condition, list of conditions that will be prohibitive for my art is not so vast. It's pretty we're talking about pretty serious things. Sometimes yes, sometimes more. Perhaps pharmaceutically assisted therapy may be required in some cases when person is not willing, for example, to go full in, do homeworks, change their diet to more functional diet. So what else can be done? It's just, again, the person is suffering there, you're giving them this life support. The moment you turn away because they're not cooperating, because they cannot, physically cannot, this is when the magic kind of shatters. So there was a case like that, but it's rare. Got balls of steel. Brian Ballooney is bragging. Which practice did we discuss? We practiced the thing with when you have alcohol and you have your food for 1 minute. You are, before you take a drink, you are fully embodying experience of eating this food for 1 minute controllably. That was the practice. Thank you for your kind words, guys. Do read emails. I do read emails. I even check my spam sometimes. I like the way you blush. I'm so hot right now. The weather changes so much these days that I don't know what to do with the thermal regime. And when I stream, yeah, I like to have my window open, but it doesn't help. Kashmir, I see, yes. The diagnosis may become, the implications of a diagnosis may become clear at some point. But mild neurodivergence, for example, will not be an infringement on progress. So, depression will not be an infringement on progress. I have a list, by the way, in Human Renaissance, under Human Renaissance, I have a list of things that require special consideration. So you can read them. There are EDs, like in acute form, when a person is having an ED and they're not working with a medical doctor. That's something that I will not take. I require that the person who has an ED works with a physical doctor to get them through their readaptation to eating food, and then they are clear to go pursue other forms of therapy. That's when I work with that people, with that person. If a person has an acute form of, let's say, substance abuse, that's when it's also kind of a limitation on my work. They're just like some ethical things that are natural, so. That's me. There are things I will change on, and then there are other I simply will not change on, even though it may not be socially acceptable or frowned upon. Kiva, yes. Kiva. What do you do if your dysfunction is that you don't like people due to their inability to control themselves or thoughts? It really depends. It would be nice if you presented a particular case, but I'm already going to wrap up soon because I need to go. So if you want to continue that conversation, you can send me an email or you can book a session with me. I was wondering, can we possibly do a review, Kiva? Yes. Let's do a review. So we're doing the review of the 2 live streams that we've conducted today. So this, I think, counts as semen retention because we already talked about it pretty recently. With semen retention, the therapy will be to identify, first of all, what are the benefits of that practice. And correlated with certain deficits or certain mismanagement that person may experience in daily life. Why does that one thing become a sole pillar for the person that enables them to function normally? Like there was dysfunction, there was disorder in life, chaotic life that person is just freaking out about, and then they find this one thing, they hold on to it, and their life suddenly all comes in order. So what is that magic? What is the origin of that disorder without it? And so we start building the better regulation. Find this relaxed point. Find this possibility, this skill of letting go, of breathing, of sleeping, of just embracing the flow of life in and out, and working with the trauma that potentially led to it. So we're dealing with that complex of things with semen retention, guys, if they come. Do you agree that sexual energy is the most powerful energy as we human possess? With powerful energy, power. What's the opposite of power? And why do we fixate on power? Powerful. Why? Why are you single? Should I be multiple? Squint your eyes, there will be multiple of me. So then we discussed in the first one, actually, it all started with energy. And we were breaking down the energy in and out, where we have air, food, and some sunshine. energy in. But then we have a bunch of sources of energy out, which energy out being work, meaning mechanical work, thermodynamic work, creative work, metabolism. Oops. Homeostasis, retention. Homeostasis, temperature, so heat. And then in this work, we were splitting it into pieces. If you remember, Kiva, we had, which kinds of work we had? Physical, just movement, survival basically, survival needs. And then we also boiled it down to the work into the expenditure of energy that was to coexist with certain dysfunctions. And those dysfunctions were trauma, harmful automations, and stored tension. So these three components were the ones that we focused on because we cannot control homeostasis. With healthy diet, we're good to go with metabolism. With survival, we're good to go in general. But these three things will vary from person to person. Remember, I was showing an example. We can have two people that will be metabolically almost identical, but that will have totally different outcomes in life. That will have totally different level of energy that we perceive, and we actually name the criteria of how we perceive this vital energy. When we look at the person, how do we read that they have high energy? Remember? So those two people may have, because of different adaptations that they built here, they may have totally different outcomes, totally different projection. And with stored tension, we discussed how to work on stored tension. We proposed some somatic exercises, movement exercises. We proposed massages, aggression play and stuff, trauma work through a variety of practices, harmful automations. How do we replace harmful automations? How we identify them, and how we then change them for useful automations, perhaps. So, through tantric work, we go and work on these things. Because the energy is literally, we're also talking about the context of spiritual work and the energy. That's how we got into this love train with spiritual work. But the energy is always measured in what? Energy is measured in joules. This is the unit of energy. No matter how we look into it, or in food, in biological equivalent will be calories. It's always some units of heat, units of energy. So we correlated that with the losses due to trauma, harmful automation, stored tension. How our body, for example, when it's traumatized or has automations, the thought process becomes incredibly inefficient. You're lost in your thoughts, you're just tumbling in your thoughts. As a result, anxiety cripples. As a result, the whole avalanche of processes start exhibiting dysfunction. So each of these is not just an extra energy expenditure. They interfere with a whole array of processes in the mind, and brain is super energy expensive organ to maintain, to function. Stored tension produces organs, tissues that are starved of oxygen. They're starved of oxygen. So it's the signal to the brain that we're starved of oxygen, we're starved of energy, starved of nutrients. So the brain needs to locate more of the resource there. Stress itself is expensive. It drains minerals, it drains vitamins. It changes the hormonal status. That creates a whole circular loop. So this work of energy, it all boils down to working on these three pillars, plus nutrition, of course, plus some basic lifestyle. So that is what we're dealing with when we're thinking about energy practices. And what happens within these energy practices is to pretty much a lot of it is what we do in Tantra. That may not necessarily involve working with some circulating energies, like focusing on some flows. It's good to be aware that awareness and energy play, they're not entirely interchangeable. So, that's what we're talking about initially. And then we talked a lot about love, concepts about love, conditional, unconditional. How long have you been doing this, David? Or what this? Live streams I started probably a month and a half ago. Tantra coaching I started a year ago. Highlights is a lot risky, so I don't know what we'll make into highlights. He's a Scientologist. Sure. You're good, thank you, David. Ticket booth. Yes, we always do the recap in the end. So if you stick around, you will see that we always do the recap. Energy goes in, dollar goes into her pocket. Sure, I mean, the energy is currency equivalent. So if you boil it down, I mean, most money in the world is made of energy, starting with oil. Energy exchanges in general, what drives the world, what drives economy, politics. So money is the equivalent of that. I'm guessing this is the question time now. You're good, there's a lot of stuff you covered. Yes, thank you. Have to go, bless you my friend, blah, blah, blah. David is leaving, okay. Yes, last question, I'm taking the last question, I'm running. So, last question, substantial question, not like single, whether you're Russian and so on. To go. Energy equals dollar in your pocket. Fit check. No, I'm multiple than a Columbe. You remembered something you told me a week ago about enjoying a burger made without drinking and feeling that is an exercise. Yes. Thank you for sharing everything. You did a good job. Thank you, Randy. I'm very happy that it was helpful. No parental guidance, I just see divorce. Therapy sessions, I read on your board. Abandonment issues I'm getting treated for. How much water can I fit under the bridge? Not sure what you mean by that. How to check. So, lighting the darkness. I fall now. What do you think so much? So, any questions? Let's do something simple, something easy to formulate without anything particularly interpretive or poetic. Кива, thank you so much. У вас столько всего интересного в жизни было, ваши слова незабываемы. Дорогая, у вас такая энергетика чистая, просто заслушалась. Какая вы умничка, мадам. Спасибо большое вам. Have a good night. Спасибо большое, Кива. Это так приятно. Очень приятно такие слова получить и вашу поддержку. Большое спасибо, Кива. Спокойной вам ночи. All the best, madam. Thank you. Burger Maxing. Yes, Chad. Don't go, ticket booth. No, I'm gonna go. But again, one question. Do we have one question? Some simple question. Substantial, but simple. By the way, Thursday, if you want to sign up for a free workshop, feel free. I would be cool if people who've been with me for a while sign up for it. But because new people might not be particularly in the context, so it will be probably easier for people who, because we're going to do some in-depth practice, more in-depth practice. So if you've been around for some time and know what we're doing, sign up for the workshop. It's in Zoom. You can keep your camera off. You can not show yourself, and we can just I'll be showing the presentation. You can practice a practice, or at least learn about the practice. Have a couple of seats. I don't know how many people will end up joining, but it's going to be on Thursday instead of the live stream. And for new people who just joined, I'm streaming Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 5 p.m. New York time, except for this Thursday when I'm conducting my first workshop through my website in Zoom, private, where we're going to do a very deep practice, tantric practice. You will find that if you go on my website, you will see appointments, and then you will see free workshops tab. You click there and you sign up. David, great night. Catch you later. Bye-bye. So, that's what we're working with. If you're there, no, okay. Well, tell that 211 grandkids, Triptum. Sophia consciousness, yeah, I heard about it. I think it's been around lately. Where's the link? The link is on my website, rawformoflife.com. Fruity Cutie, thank you so much for your support. One of my devout followers. Fruity Cutie has been with me since my ex-vegan things. Thank you so much for your support. Found you through Regal Change today. Ray Leonard. Thank you. Yeah, it was actually very quick. We just did an interview this early afternoon, and it's already posted. So, very cool. Thank you guys for joining. So, any questions? One more minute and I'm leaving. So. My color is blue. No questions from Kiva? Good. Is it cold in Russia? I mean, it's the same as in New York and US. Going to use your services. Great, great tone. Thank you. I'll see you then. Are you single? No. How do you get past social awkwardness and become more talkative and response savvy? With that Kashmir hug, previous stream, part 1 will be a very good aid for you. We did actual practice with someone on that. See how you will feel if you experiment with that. It's probably somewhere in the maybe 40-minute mark. It's the question from Luis. So, you'll see. Alright, so here we're completing our talk today. Thank you everyone for joining, and I will see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Take care, Madam Little Kuzya. Thank you, Kiva Kuzya. Bye-bye. Пока-пока, Kiva. And everyone. Bye-bye. Good night, Chad. Kashmir rug, I'm very happy.